Welcome to Chapter 2, the concept of ethics and civilization. In this video, we'll embark on a journey through time to understand how ethics and civilizations have evolved, shaped by history, religion, and cross-cultural exchanges. Let's also explore their implications for our world today. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand how these elements shape societies and continue to influence us today. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to explain the concept of ethics in the history of human thoughts, analyze the history of European thought from period before, during, and after Enlightenment, identify the concept of civilization based on period of pre-colonialism, colonialism, and post-colonialism. So these skills help you to critically assess how historical concepts shape modern values, fostering a better understanding of global diversity. Now, let's begin by tracing the movement of ideas and practices that shaped ethics and civilization in the Malay world and its interaction with other civilizations. Now, you might be wondering, but how do we do that? Okay, we can by understanding the civilization, influences, and changes that have occurred in the Malay archipelago environment, especially in Malaya, Sarawak, and Sabah, or we call it East Malaysia. Now, the Malay world offers a fascinating journey through four major historical periods, which we'll take a look more in the next few slides. So the first era is prehistoric era. There are four eras or ages during the prehistoric period, and you can see that each period is unique as humans started to evolve through time. So for the Paleolithic era, it marks the existence of the earliest human settlements, which we can see from its nomadic lifestyle, meaning that people move from place to place. People relied on basic stone tools for hunting and gathering food. So these early practices laid the foundation for human adaptability in challenging environments, showcasing that we do have early survival skills. And in the next era is Mesolithic era. So during this time, there was significant evolution in daily life, including advancements in creating everyday daily life tools and weapons from stone. Communities began engaging in early agriculture activities and livestock rearing, leading to early trading practices. So this transition towards agriculture marked a significant change in social organization, allowing for more stable communities. In the next era, Neolithic era, is the emergence of permanent settlements. Rather than moving from places to places, it defined this era alongside more advanced stone tools that improve daily living conditions. So the establishment of a permanent communities allowed for population growth, specialization of labor, for example, farmers, maybe sheep rearings, or shepherds, and the development of social hierarchies. Lastly, we have the Bronze Age, where societies began using metal tools, establishing barter systems for trade, and settling near water sources for agriculture. So the trade networks facilitated cultural exchange between communities, as we can see in Bujang Valley, a place in Kedah, one of the states in Malaysia, which became a center for commerce. So these advancements set the stage for the proto-prehistorical period, the next period, where ancient Malay kingdoms began to emerge. So let's take a look at proto-historical era, the next era, where we can see the rise of ancient Malay kingdoms such as Langkasuka, Kedah Tua, Champa, Majapahit, and Srivijaya. These kingdoms were characterized by the use of Malay as a lingua franca, which means like an international language, where a language where everyone use it for trade and communication across different ethnic groups at the time. And traditional governance systems like the fourfold dignitary system that has structured the society into rulers, ministers, nobles, and commoners. And then lastly, it is characterized by economic self-sufficiency based on agriculture and trade networks that connected them with the neighboring regions. So these kingdoms established Southeast Asia as a hub for cultural exchange through trade routes connecting India, China, and Middle East. So as these kingdoms flourished, they gave way to one of the most influential powers in Southeast Asia, which is the Malacca Sultanate. So with the rise of emergence of Malacca Malay Sultanate came the fall of the Majapahit Empire. So in the next era or age is the age of history, and where Malacca Sultanate marks a significant chapter in our exploration, also for our course. It was known for its legal systems, where it has the Malacca Law of the Sea, which governed maritime trading with various merchants from Arab, Chinese and Indian backgrounds. The Malacca Canon Law also integrated Islamic principles with the local customs. And then the most important thing is that Malacca became a melting pot, meaning like a mixture of a place for a mixture for merchants from different regions who brought their customs, languages, and religions. You can think of it as an olden days mall where people came to exchange not just items but also their cultures. So these interactions and clashes became a catalyst for many different civilizations coexisting together. So Malacca's pluralistic society laid the foundation for modern Malaysian identity by fostering interactions among the different cultures. However, this golden age was disrupted by European colonization during the modern historical era, which is the next era. So colonization by Western powers like Portuguese, Dutch, and British left some long-lasting impacts on Malaysia's governance, economy, and society. So understanding these periods help us to appreciate the different layers of cultural identity in Malaysia and the resilience of its people in the face of change. Now let's step beyond Malay world to explore the broader global contributions that have shaped civilizations. So the Malay world wasn't isolated. Its ethics and civilization were influenced by India, China, Middle East, and Western civilizations. So the civilizations in India, China, and the Middle East have made remarkable contributions. As for India, the spread of Hinduism and Buddhism is very significant in the Southeast Asia. So contributions included religion, of course, influences on governance like Dharma, language, Sanskrit language, art like the Angkor Wat building, science like astronomy and mathematics, literature, for example, the Ramayana epics, and architecture like the Borobudur temple, including economy like the currency, but they just not contributed of their achievements, but also influences some aspects of life for in the Malay world, for example, government institutions, law, customs, language, literature, art, and also belief. Meanwhile, for China, relations with China began during the Han Dynasty. Chinese merchants brought innovations in administration like the bureaucratic governance, philosophy like Confucianism, family customs where they conducted ancestor worship, food like noodles, clothing, for example, silks, and also language. So the implication is that Chinese influence strengthened trade networks while fostering multiculturalism in Malay society at the time. For example, and also today. So for example, we have some borrowed languages like tapao, meaning to take away food, mixed marriage between the Chinese and Malays, resulting in the Baba and Nyonya community, among other life aspects. Lastly, we have the Middle East, where Islam arrived via Arab traders in the 7th century and eroded the influence from Indian civilization as the locals were mostly practicing it. They then adapted the practices with the teachings of Islam. So the arrival of Islam has reshaped and influenced a lot of life aspects, including law, like they use Sharia law instead from Islam, governance, where they uh, integrated the Malacca code with the local practice or custom, education, where they built madrasas, basically schools, mosques and suraus are places of worship, culture, like artistic expressions, and social norms in the Malay archipelago. So these contributions highlight the interconnectedness of civilizations and remind us that cultural exchange has always been a driver of progress. Next, let's examine the contributions of Western civilization to the evolution of ethics and governance in the Malay world. So, the West played a significant role in shaping global ethics and governance, particularly during the colonial era. So, the first Western power you could say is the Portuguese, which conquered Malacca in 151. So, they dominated trade routes and introduced Christianity to Southeast Asia. Their influences included mixed marriages between the Portuguese and the locals at the time, which resulted in a community called Serani, besides influencing the language. Their arrival also marked the downfall of the Malacca Malay Sultanate due to differences in military powers. Next we have the Dutch, which controlled the spice trade and influenced very few political and economic systems and left quite a limited cultural impact compared to their Portuguese predecessors in the Malay archipelago. So this is in comparison with the British, which left quite a big impact and effect on the Malay world and Malaysia today. So the British centralized governance through treaties like Pancor 1874 with secular frameworks that has transformed the traditional Malay education, fostering modern education and also legal systems. So these changes were significant as some of their effects still last until today, especially in the administrative and education sector. So this is why we use, in Malaysia, we use UK English in schools, and we have schools for Chinese teaching Mandarin and for Indians teaching Tamil, while a national school for all to come to. So these influences shaped traditional systems and introduced new ideologies, governance systems that emphasize European legal principles, and societal structures which lays the groundwork for globalization, which we'll see in the next slide. So the interconnectedness between civilizations shaped the evolution of the Malay world. So globalization is when the modern technology and the internet has erased borders, making the world more interconnected with each other. ICT developments like smartphones, social media, and internet play a very important role in shaping ethics and values in today's era because it's easier to be influenced and information can just be gathered in a very short time. So the influences from diverse civilizations led to hybrid cultural identities in Malaysia. So in our contemporary context, hybridization blends Malay customs with Islamic teachings alongside Western legal frameworks. So policies like Rukun Negara aim to codify multicultural ethics but face challenges from the rapid modernization. So digital age also further complicates this idea as social media influences the youth culture and young people navigate conflicting values that risk eroding traditional norms without any proactive education. So these influences emphasize how globalization can unify societies while respecting diversity. We can also see how contemporary or modern civilization fosters a global hybrid or mixture of civilization like the East Asian, Arab, and the West. Next, let's examine ethics through three lenses: European to historical periods, religious perspective on ethics, and colonial and post-colonial influences. See you in the next video.